see. Dragonflight talent calculator. So Blizzard released the talents as like a huge blog post. Wowhead has gone ahead and put them into their talent calculators. So if this makes it onto YouTube, I will include a link to the Dragonflight talent calculator. You can also use this to peruse the available talents for Death Knight Druid in a clickable format, which is just kind of easier to read. So this here, can we see it pretty good? Yeah! This is the Dragonflight Priest talent tree. There's the Priest tree, here's the Holy tree. I will also take a look at the Shadow tree. I won't pretend to know enough about Discipline. And the expectation here is that most of our baseline kit is probably going to be in the Priest tree somewhere, and you can kind of see how you would spec it out and figure out like what kind of choices you end up having to make. Some of them are binary choice nodes, and some of them are not. So let's see, you've got Prayer of Mending, and then you've got Shadow Word Death. So let's say I'm setting up Holy Priest. We're going to start over here. Focused Mending seems pretty important. You can pick up Renew. You probably won't skip Renew just because you've got some interesting stuff over there. So let's say you take Renew. This side has Renewed Faith. You heal more on targets with Renew. You can put a couple points into that. So it might actually be worth putting it up there. No, here, I won't count my chickens before they hatch. There's Benediction. So Prayer of Mending can leave Renew behind. So that's useful. Healing is increased in targets with Renew. Okay. And then what do we have over here? Improved Smite. So that's a damage thingy. Let's just pretend I'm just taking healing stuff for now. Purified Disease removes disease effects from a friendly. I heard that the specific type dispels have been decoupled from the regular dispels, because right now in WoW, if you are a healer, you have one dispel key and it will dispel any dispels that your class can handle. So a druid is going to take off like poisons and curses, a priest is going to take off diseases, etc. Actually, I don't know if druids do poisons and curses for sure. But and then the off specs will have a separate button for that, right? And I've heard that in Dragonflight, even if you're a healer, it's still a separate button that you may need to spec into. Although you may be able to spec into it to have it pick. So, okay, so you choose either Body and Soul or Angelic Feather. That makes total sense. Those are both movement speed talents. They're currently something you choose between anyways. Which one do I want? Probably Angelic Feather, eh? Yeah, I like Feather. I never give it to anybody else. I have my Angelic Feather macro to be on me, but we like Feather. So, Shadow Mend is over here. Mind Restrain. Mind Blast prevents a small amount of damage dealt by the enemy. That's new. I guess it depends on what small amount means, or if you need it for anything. This seems like the general damage side of the regular Priest tree. Shadow Mend. Its damage effect heals you, reduces all damage you take. Oh, cool. Okay. So if you want Masochism, you can't go up. You can only go down. So if you want this, which is basically a self-defensive, like a 10% damage reduction. And bear in mind, priests don't have very many of those, and it's nice to have in raid. If you want to be able to cast a 10% damage reduction on yourself, then you need to take Shadow Word Death. You need to take Shadow Mend, and then you can grab that. That also opens up Improved Mind Blast to reduce its cooldown. Shadow Mend has a chance to deal no damage. Prevents a small amount of damage dealt. Here, we'll take those. And that's where you get Twist of Fate. So you do need to go into the damage side if you want Twist of Fate. Power Infusion's down here. It's nice and early. And then Enlightenment is up here. Nice and early. You're probably going to take that. All right, let's follow this left tree down. What do we get? Holy Nova. Maybe it'll be good this time. Who's to say? Cleric's Armament. Smite deals additional damage while you're shielded. All right. Holy Nova deals damage to 3 enemies. The second Holy Nova will be cast a moment later at 50% effectiveness. Alrighty. Sure, don't see why not. Maybe Holy Nova will be good. Who's to say? And then deals additional damage. Well, yeah, that's right. Smite deals damage. Holy Nova deals damage. Is this some weird kind of priest damage thing where you shield yourself and then you're doing all your buttons? What's down this side? Renew does extra damage. Mana cost reduced. Above health, the cast time of your flash heal. Ooh, that's good though. And then Holy Word Life. A word of holy power heals the target. Oh yeah, people were telling me about this. So it's a new holy word that you only want to use when your target is 20% or less, because it'll do crazy healing, presumably, on someone below 20% health. But if they're not below 20% health, you take damage equal to the amount healed. It's like a Shadow Word Death opposite, basically. It's an instant. It's on a 30-second cooldown. It sounds like a great deal of fun. Let's say that we want that. Let's say that we want that. Can I undo one? Wait, no, you need both of them. Okay. What's down the middle side? We've got Leap of Faith. What if I just didn't take Leap of Faith? Then I can't grip anybody. I swear I try so hard to be a superhero with Leap of Faith, and sometimes I save people, and most of the time I get them killed. And the worst part is that I was trying to help. Less mana, sure. Damage you take reduces the cooldown of Desperate Prayer, sure. Shackle Undead, that's important, we need that. Power Infusion grants you... Ooh. I like that Twins of the Sun Priestess is in a pretty central position, and that you are probably going to take it? If you want to get to Crystalline Reflection or Mind Games, you need to take Sun Priestess. And that's the thing that gives you Power Infusion when you Power Infusion someone else. However, I've now run out of talent points, so you can't get all the way to the bottom of all of them. If I wanted to get down, mind you, you can take that and you can also have Holy Word Life. But you can't, you would then have all of this unspent. I don't hate the spec so far, but let's see what I'm missing. Power Word Shield and Ally also shields you. Desperate Prayer heals for more, and then Shield instantly heals target and reflects damage absorbed. So those sound almost like discipline-y things, but they might be good. I'm sure there's going to be calculations. I think it's funny that I didn't take Leap of Faith and I'm out of points. Oh, there's Translucent Image. Okay. So if I wanted to find a point for Translucent Image, I could spec out of like one of these. I could here. Let's give up on Improved Holy Nova. Undo that. And then give me some Translucent Image, and then I'll find another one to say, what else do I not want here? I like Twist of Fate. I like the Shadow Men Masochism, honestly, but... you need that. I don't know if he needs Say Your Prayer. 6% doesn't sound very good, but maybe it really kicks in. The mana thing. I mean, you can say you can skip Shackle Undead if you really want to, and then you take 2 Translucent Images. It depends on how squishy you feel like, how much defenses you feel like you want. Below that, you've got Shadow Word Death dealing less damage to you, and then you have Mind Games, as we all know and love. I do like Mind Games, but I don't feel like I need it. There's Mind Control. I will be happy to just not have that in my book. Dominant Mind and Puppet Master. Shadow Fiend and Dominant Mind increase your mastery while active. 2 rank talent. What's this one? Okay, so Shadow Fiend is on the thing. So Shadow Fiend is not baseline. Some of the Shadow Fiend, so I don't have to have Shadow Fiend if I don't want to. Shadow Word Pain does more damage. You gain insanity and mana if an enemy dies with Shadow Word Pain on it. It's possible you can use that as a healer to generate mana, especially in a post-Fey Guardians world. You may need some ways to get some mana back, but that seems pretty situational. You would need to have ads that you're able to tag. 10% mana back when an enemy with Shadow Word Pain dies could actually be really sick, though. That, like, on a really long fight that has ads, if mana is a problem, and that's an open question, but if mana is a problem, that could be really good. What else, though? Address Shadow Fiend now restores more mana. Mindbender restores more mana. It's funny that doesn't say that it replaces Shadow Fiend. Normally in Priest WoW, Mindbender, if you take it, it's an upgrade to Shadow Fiend. It's a direct upgrade to Shadow Fiend. And it's possible this works that way, but it doesn't say that. It doesn't have any text here about replacing Mindbender, replacing Shadow Fiend. There's no world where they give you both, right? What if you could have both? That would be kind of funny, just sending both of them out. He attacks faster, so it gives you more mana back, and then Shadow Flame Prism. That's nice. That's the legendary that Shadow Priests are currently using, and it's a pretty big part of their damage, especially in keys. So I think that's pretty cool that for a Shadow Priest you're going to be able to get that back. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Let's say that I decided to go healing stuff like this. I've got some good defensive options. I've got Sun Priestess, so I can keep my own PI, and I took Holy Word Life. And here's our Holy Tree. So I get 30 points to spend. There's heal. I need that. This side appears to be the AoE healing side from a quick look of it. I don't know what's going on over there. And then that side seems to have some damage stuff, maybe? Let's just see. Holy Word Serenity is very important. We're taking that. What else do we get? Trail of Light. Important. We take that. I guess I can take Prayer of Healing. Fine. I'll take Prayer of Healing just to get Sanctify. Maybe it'll be good next expansion. Who's to say? Spirit of Redemption. It'd be funny if you didn't take that. It seems pretty iconic to Holy Priest, although Sometimes Spirit of Redemption's just embarrassing. It's like this big, giant, flashing blue indicator that says, look who died. And then if I want to spend enough points, actually, I need to spend 8 points to get down here. And I've only spent 2, 4, 6, 7 so far. So you actually have to take Holy Fire. You have to take Holy Fire. You can't not have Holy Fire in order to get farther down here. Unless I've done this wrong somehow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 required. 9 required? Oh, there we go. I don't know if that's just not working quite right, but let's say we take Chastise too. What would I be missing here? Guardian Spirit. You need Guardian Spirit. Guardian Spirit's important. So we'll grab that. Forget the stun just for now. I'm trying to mainline things so you can give me throughput. I'm not going to worry about Afterlife. That's the one that makes your Spirit of Redemption better. As a spirit, you can sacrifice your spirit to resurrect an ally, putting yourself to rest. I wonder if that consumes a battle res. I wonder if that consumes a battle res, because if so, interesting. And if not, interesting. If it didn't consume a battle res, then I feel like that's weird, because you could then use the battle res that you didn't use on the priest. Unless it made them unresable. Anyways. What does it say about you if you take a talent that says, you know what? I'm not very good, but I bet you somebody else died that was better. Cosmic Ripple. Sure, to grab that just to grab Divine Hymn. Gotta have Divine Hymn. Circle of Healing and Prayer Circle. Circle of Healing and Prayer Circle. So if you were in a single target situation, you could argue for leaving these off to save points. Certainly, here, take Circle of Healing, but leave Prayer Circle, because Prayer of Healing may or may not be too expensive still. I'm still in Shadowlands Priest Brain, where in Shadowlands Priest Brain, you almost never use Prayer of Healing. It's really expensive, and you're much better off just spamming your like flash concentration situation. Cast time and cost. I guess if you take 2 points of this, and it doesn't say what you get, it just says the text doesn't change when you spend points. But if that doubled, and if it made Prayer of Healing 50% cheaper after a Circle of Healing, that actually becomes kind of valid. So I don't hate that. What else are we missing here? So you got to choose the Divine Star or Halo. Who told me Divine Star was gone? They just didn't look very closely. Divine Star or Halo. So let's take Divine Star because Halo is a liability. Ooh, and then you choose Shining Force or Psychic Voice. That makes sense. Let's grab Psychic Voice. I like that one. Binding Heal. You, your target, and another friendly target. Oh, it's active Binding Heal again. Ew, gross. I just don't like Binding Heal. Why don't I like Binding Heal? You and your target and another friendly target. Oh, it's a smart heal now. And it reduces your Serenity and your Sanctify. I'm assuming that the other normal things that reduce... I guess it doesn't say anything about heal reducing... Actually, where is Flash Heal? We'll get there. Anyways, there's Binding Heal. What is it? Surge of Light. Flash Heal has to be around here somewhere because Surge of Light still applies to it. Surge of Light makes your Flash Heal insta-procs. Guardian Angel. Guardian Angel is really good. That's something that I love having for keys because then you get to just use it all the time. Surge of Light has an extra chance to occur if the target is affected by Renew or Holy Fire. Holy Fire. Healing spells and Smite have a chance to make your next Flash Heal instant. Oh, I see. If you're smiting something that has a Holy Fire on it, you get a bigger chance to make Surge of Lights. Okay, cool. I do like that. Symbol of Hope is kind of blocking off this whole side of the tree. Oh, there's Light of the Nara. Okay, so Holy Words are reduced when you cast relevant spells. Okay, so your regular stuff will still reduce the cooldown of your Holy Words, but you have to take Light of the Nara for that to happen. Okay, that's fair. How many points do I have left? 8 points left, so you got to kind of pick a side over here. The left side has Cosmic Ripple, healing more, restoring mana. They've really gone back to smart heals. They have really re-embraced smart heals because that's what Cosmic Ripple is. You do not think about your Cosmic Ripple, really. It's, you just, your stuff finishes its cooldown and then you just happen to heal some people that are around that are injured. And this is making that stronger. That combined with Lightwell, which I hear is coming. Is this the smart heal side of the tree? Okay, so Cosmic Ripple heals a bunch and restores mana. Cool. Divine Hymn heals more. Stacks of Divine Hymn increase healing received. Sure. Yeah. And then Lightwell. So Lightwell's back, baby. Creates a holy Lightwell every 1 second. It heals party and raid members that are lower than half health. Lasts for 3 minutes or until 15 heals. 3-minute cooldown. Love that. It is a smart heal. It's not the clickable light well. No one's going to use up all your light well charges. Nobody's going to ask you to click on a light well. It's just a cool looking thing that will heal people that are lower than half, so they do need it. And that's something that you have to probably avoid these other two things, which we'll get to. So let's undo that. Let's pretend that we didn't take some of that stuff, and we want to go for the middle instead. You choose either Salva or Apotheosis. You're probably going to take Salva for raid and Apotheosis for keys. Casting a holy word increases the healing. Oh, resonant words. It's our conduit. Oh, that's a really good one. It's a really good one with flash concentration. Is flash concentration in here? I thought it was. I thought I heard that it was in here. I don't see it though. Did I miss it? Or is it in like a different tree? They wouldn't. It's a holy thing. Circle of Healing reduces the cooldown of Sanctify by 4 seconds. For AoE. Prayer of Mending reduces the cooldown of Serenity by 4 seconds. Okay. And then more reductions. So the middle thing here, and I could probably... The middle thing here is all about the cooldown reduction. So you can... If you want, you could even give up on Psychic Force or Shining Voice. Hey, kitty cat, we're looking at Priest Talents. And then take yourself Divine Words. So Divine Words makes... It looks like an active. It's a 1-minute cooldown. And it makes your next Serenity, Sanctify, or Chastise a big boom. And then give you a 15-second buff. So that's a new spell. And then it... Serenity. So if you do a big Serenity... Your Flash Heal, Renew, heal for more, crit more often, cost less. Big Sanctify, it blesses the area, and then Chastise does more damage. So that's kind of cool. It's sort of flexible. You can use it for single target or for AoE. I wonder if this is more, if the Light Well is the passive option, and the Divine Words, hi kitty cat, is more the active option, if you want to be more involved in your own gameplay. What do we get if we opt out of a bunch of this? What do we have on this side of things? Let's refund a bunch of stuff and go back. Symbol of Hope is over here. That still gives cooldown recovery, also gives missing mana. I've enjoyed having that in Shadowlands, but it's not like the most fun button to press. This makes Holy Fire faster and more often. What does this one do? Holy Fire reduces the cooldown of Chastise. This is just like the holy damage side of things. Smite deals more damage, Holy Nova deals more damage, and then Imperial Blaze refreshes Holy Fire. Next 3 casts cause no mana, incur no cooldown, cast instantly. That's kind of like the Torghast talent. And then whenever Holy Fire is reapplied, the duration is extended. So you go down the right side of the tree if you are, for whatever reason, building a Holy Priest damage spec. Like maybe you don't want to have a Shadow Off spec and you want to do damage questing or... you know, whatever, you could make yourself a build that is specifically, you know, you could even get out of these things. You could make yourself a build that is Holy Priest damage. It's an option. It's available to you. You could, if you want to, add things like Mind Games to it. Add things, you could add Shadow Flame Prism to it if you want. Mind Blast and Shadow Word Death cause your Shadow Fiend to teleport. So you can build a DPS build as a Holy Priest if you want. You would have to sacrifice substantial amounts of healing buttons in order to do that, because you'd have to get all the way down to the bottom of this side here. So, but you can do it, which is cool as an option, especially because you got to remember with the talents, you got to remember that you don't have to marry it. You don't have to inscribe it on your tombstone and stand by it until the end of time. They're letting you make different loadouts. They're letting you save different talent configurations, and then you can swap between them. We don't know how easily, but it sounded like easy. It sounded like there was going to be something that people would consider doing even between boss fights. So it sounds like you can set yourself up like, here's your damage spec, here's your AoE healing, here's your smart healing, here's, you know, you can set up different options for different fights or for different, or for like keys versus a raid, or if you want, you can just make yourself like an all-purpose one. But the choices are hard choices to make, and you don't have to make one choice and have it apply to everything, which I think was part of the drama with Shadowlands. Was with Covenants, people didn't want to have to make one choice and have it apply to everything, but before we were able to switch Covenants, that was kind of the world we lived in. Okay. Yeah, I was surprised to not see flash concentration. Have I missed it? Am I missing it? I didn't see any flash concentration. Somebody told me it was back, but then again, it's Twitch chat, who's to say? Curious to see what a DPS holy spec would play like for keys, maybe. Now I want to gear up my priest. I wonder if you would have, I mean, it's a fun thing to mess with the calculator for. I wonder if you would have enough healing abilities left to actually get your group through. Like, how many things would you give up that you might prefer to have handy for keys? That might depend on how good your group is and how many emergencies is. Flash concentration is not there. No, I haven't looked at Shadow. I'll look at Shadow next. Here, let's spec this into priest, and let's go look at the Shadow tree. So, we won't worry about the priest tree. We've seen that already, but we've got 30 points to spend in Shadow. Let's see what we can do here. So they give you Mind Flay first. That makes sense. Slows insanity, yada, yada. Good stuff. Devouring Plague still does the same thing. Shadow damage heals you. If it's reapplied, it's added. Costs 50 insanity. Sounds good. Vampiric Touch heals you, generates insanity. Good. Mind Sear. Sure thing. You betcha. All right, you get to pick between Misery or Searing Nightmare. That makes total sense. Or do you want to multi-dot 2 or 3 things, or do you want to dot up a whole bunch of stuff? I like Misery a lot, but it depends on the situation. Mind Bomb or Psychic Voice. Mind Bomb's kind of fun, but it doesn't stun in this iteration, so we'll take Psychic Voice. Death or Madness is the one that resets your Shadow or Death cooldown. Good on ads, but doesn't necessarily, you won't need it for everything. We got some defensive stuff over here. So there's Vampiric Embrace, causing you to heal a nearby ally for half of any single target shadow damage you deal. Sand Lane reduces the cooldown of it, increases its healing done, and Hallucinations makes... Oh, interesting. Hallucinations makes successful offensive dispels, mass dispels, disease purifies. Basically all of your helpy spells. It makes all your helpy spells give you insanity. So if you are a very helpful Shadow Priest, you can spec into having that give you a little insanity back. It is unlikely, I think, to be the best option. You're probably still better off having spent some insanity gen spell in that global if you're just looking for damage, but there's kind of like a, here's a consolation prize. Thanks for being a good person. After casting Vampiric Touch, your next one is Instant. Oh yeah, Unfurling Darkness. I remember that one. Vampiric Insight. Dot damage has a chance to cause basically dark thoughts. Instant cast Mind Blast. Love to see it. Silence and then reduce silence cooldown. So silence is Shadow Priest only. That's not new. Well, I don't know if Discipline Priest had it. Discipline Priest might have had it, but Holy Priest did not have silence, so I won't really miss that. Mind Flay and Mind Blast deal more damage. That seems important. There's Dispersion, also seems important, especially because it's directly tied to Psychic Core. But I guess you can skip those if you feel like you're gonna be real safe. Mind Flay or Mind Sear. The periodic rate of your dots is increased, and Mind Blast gets an extra charge. So that seems like a pretty core damage talent. Your dots will tick faster when you're channeling Mind Flay. It seems like a pretty core single target damage talent. Points are useless and Shadow will never be taken. What, Dispersion? I don't know, someone might want it. Void Eruption, that seems important. Imagine making a Shadow spec without Void Eruption. Activates Void Form, causes shadow damage. There might be a Shadow spec without Void Eruption. That would be cool. That would be weird. That would be like old-fashioned. There's Shadowy Apparitions. So Mind Blast, Devouring Plague, or Void Bolt can create the apparitions to anybody afflicted by your Vampiric Touch. Crits will cause double apparition, so that scales with crit. And Mind Blast, Devouring Plague, or Void Bolt. It doesn't say a chance. It says when you Mind Blast, Plague, or Void Bolt. So that seems pretty good. Over here, I guess I'm behind in chat, so you might have been talking about a different talent. Mind Blast deals part of its damage. Mind Blast cleaves, basically. Sure, depends on AoE versus single target. My character is laughing. What are you giggling about? Oh, it's somebody else. Okay, never mind. Auspicious Spirits makes them hurt more and generate insanity. Seems important. So this is pretty much, do you want to make a single target spec or do you want to make an AoE spec? And if it's single target, are you thinking 2 or 3, or are you thinking like 5? Because we got Shadow Crash. This side, Mental Fortitude. Healing from Vampiric Touch will shield you. Oh, that's neat. Something to take if you die all the time. And when shielded, Vampiric Touch and Devouring Plague deal up to 15% additional damage. Now that's kind of cool, because it says shielded, and because it's right below Mental Fortitude, that makes me feel as though it's counting Mental Fortitude shielding, but it could also be talking about Power Word Shield, or both. 15% additional damage is kind of huge. It's kind of huge, so that seems important. Here, let's spend some more points we can get down here. What is this? Hungering Void or Surrender to Madness? Surrender to Madness is just Surrender to Madness. Hasn't changed a lot since the last time they changed it. You only die if the thing that you used it on doesn't die. Hungering Void makes your Void Bolt make the target more vulnerable. So it's like a single target thingy. Hungering Void seems a lot safer. Let's just take that. And then Void Form increases your crit chance, reducing, sure. There's Damnation. Damnation is nice, and Malediction reduces the cooldown in Damnation. Those are nice, but that almost feels like more of a PvP thing. Most of the time, I feel like I don't know if that's going to be worth it for most people. Void Touched, well, not in Void form. Mind Flay, oh yeah, that lets you proc like Void Bolts and stuff. And there's Void Torrent, interesting. So you have to take those if you want Mind Devourer, which just makes your Mind Blast bigger. You have to take those if you want that and have a chance to be free. Okay, what's on the left here? When shielded, Vampiric Touch, Devouring Plague deal extra damage, and then you get to, okay, let's just go down this left side. So let's say that we're doing 15% more damage from our dots, well, from Vampiric Touch and Devouring Plague while we're shielded. We'll pretend that we're going to be very safe. That doesn't seem like it's something that's easy to consistently keep up, because it depends on how much incidental AoE there is. In Shadowlands, there was a lot of things that just kind of hurt everybody to give healers something to do, and if that's going to be constantly chipping away at whatever shield you have for Mental Fortitude or Power Word Shield, this may not be as good as it sounds initially. Choose one. Idol of N'Zoth or Idol of Y'Sharj. That's really cool. That's something Mitch from Blizzard Watch was talking about. Being able to choose an old god. So if you pick Y'Sharj, Shadow Fiend causes you to gain a benefit based on your target's current emotional state. Pardon me? I'm sure that has like a gameplay reason, but that's the funniest sentence to imagine using on your raiders. Being like, listen, who's mad? Mood ring? Okay, the N'Zoth one makes damage dealt by your dots have a chance to apply Echoing Void. And each time Echoing Void is applied, it has a chance to collapse, dealing damage to nearby enemies until no stacks remain. Okay, so you're basically stacking up a debuff that is benign until it, like, procs, and then it goes poof, 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 and then it, like, AoEs a bunch of stuff. So one of them's AoE, the other one is probably single target, I don't know. What is the, oh, they explain the mood ring? There's a blue post one. Okay. Here, I need to know. I need to know. What do you mean? Idol of Y'Sharj explained. Okay, thank you. It will receive a new tooltip as we get closer to Dragonflight, though. In the meantime, here's a breakdown of what it currently does. Good luck putting this in a tooltip. So if your target is above 80% health, and let's bear in mind, this is something that I guess you just use it. It's like an instant. Oh, Shadow Fiend causes you to gain a benefit based on your target's current emotional state. That's weird, because Shadow Fiend isn't something that... It doesn't say Shadow Fiend's target. It says your target. Maybe that'll get clarified. If your target is above 80% health, you and your Shadow Fiend deal increased damage. If your target is enraged, it will purge the enrage and increase your haste. What? If your target is stunned, you'll get insanity. So I'm assuming that they mean your target being the enemy target that your Shadow Fiend is attacking. Otherwise, that's way too messy. Because a lot of priests won't even be targeting whoever they're healing because of mouse over healing. So they must mean the target your Shadow Fiend is on. Stunned, despair, generate insanity while Shadow Fiend is active. Sure. Isn't that how that worked anyways? If your target is feared, you and your Shadow Fiend deal increased damage and don't break fear effects. More than one of these says increased damage. No conditions meant. Violence duration of Shadow Fiend is increased. The priority order: anger, despair, fear, pride. Okay, so it does damage. Your Shadow Fiend helps you do the damage. This doesn't sound as fun as I want it to be. Yeah, it's like a smart DPS spell. It has a chance, like the auto purge. The question is the haste you get from that? Like, these are going to be flat calculations, and somebody will know when the best time to use this is, what the best mood is, and then it's not going to be as much of a thing. It's a cool concept, but I feel like that needs work. It sounds like it's not an interesting choice, or like something that people are going to be really, oh man, he's feared. Quick, use the mood ring, you know? so that we can do increased damage instead of having increased damage. It seems just like it needs a little bit of reason to make that a good, you know, something that there's, yeah. Yeah, that's a shadow talent only. That's a bottom of the shadow tree thing. So let's just forget about that. Let's undo some of these and go back. What's over here? Void or apparitions. Shadowy apparitions have a 10% chance to become infused with the void, dealing extra damage. So it seems like with the holy tree and now the shadow tree, there is a branch of it that is almost themed around smart heals or smart damage, like kind of a beginner-friendly version of it, if you will, that kind of does damage just because you're out there pressing some buttons. And it may or may not be tuned to be as effective or more or less effective than the more user-intensive stuff. But I think that's a good thing if that's something they're weaving into everybody's trees. Because that's all I'm looking for in an alt, is I want to put together a spec that is passive as hell and just lets me do something. And then if it's my main, I want to actually pick whatever's best and figure out what I'm doing. So I hope that that's a theme for a lot of these trees, is that they have branches you can take that's like the easy version of it. I don't need it to be best, but I want it to be there. So there's shadowy apparitions and void vampiric touch crits have a chance to create them. So sure, shadowy apparition stuff. What's over here? Insidious Ire. Well, you have a dot active on one target. When you have all 3 dots active on one target, Mind Blast does more damage. Single target stuff. Cool. Mind Flay and Mind Sear has a chance to extend your dots. All right. What's over here? Consuming Vampiric Insight. Remind me what that is. Consuming Vampiric Insight. Is that the new? That's the new Dark Thoughts. That's the new proc. They just renamed it because they made it proc off of Vampiric Touch. Where did it go? It was up here somewhere. Vampiric Insight. I'm pretty sure it's the instant cast Mind Blast proc. Consuming Vampiric Insight causes your shadow to animate for 10 seconds. Whenever you cast a spell, your shadow will cast a similar spell. Okay. So that's kind of cool, because right now, when you consume a Dark Thoughts proc, which is the instant cast Mind Blast, you have your shadow animate over your head with your foreset. That's your Shadow Priest foreset, makes a big spooky ghost go behind your back, and then it cleaves. It just does AoE damage. Why can't I find this thing? Is it because I'm not looking in a systematic manner? Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's the new Dark Thoughts proc. It's called Vampiric Insight, and it procs off Vampiric Touch. Has a chance to make your Mind Blast instant and reset cooldown. Okay, cool. So it gives you a shadow that makes you cast similar spells. So that seems pretty flexible. That seems like a reasonable choice to take as long as it does a reasonable amount of damage. What's on the other side here? If you go all the way to the right, Monomania, which was, remind me, it had a fun name. It was up here. Monomania. I saw it. It was up here. Monomania. Was it in? It must have been in this tree. Yeah, there it is. Monomania, which is the thing that makes your VT and your Shadow Word Pain tick faster, and gives you an extra charge of Mind Blast. The thing that makes your dots tick faster when you're Mind Flaying also increases the crit chance of your dots. Okay, so that's kind of a single targety thing. Let's, I don't know, save some buttons over here so that we can do these. Vampiric Insight has a greater chance to occur, so more procs, basically. And then I wonder if you saved enough points elsewhere in the tree. If you just said, you know what, forget Shadow Crash, forget, well, you need Fortress of the Mind, don't you? Forget Shadow Crash, forget Void Eruption, why not? If you were, oh no, you need that. If you have enough points to take both Living Shadow and Idolic Intuition, because they both function off of Vampiric Insight. So I wonder if you could save enough points to do both. Let's unspec out of it. Well, the problem is that you need some of them to actually get this far. So if you wanted both of those, you could go down this right tree, or the left tree, honestly. You could go down either one. Because you go 1, 2, 1, 2, and then you can take, yeah, you can take both of them, okay. So you can do that. Vampiric Insight has a greater chance to occur, so more procs, more cleaving. That's kind of a cool spec. The far right-hand side, increase the crit chance of Shadow Word Touch. And this one. So you can take either Idol of Cthulhu or Idol of Yogg-Saron. So if you didn't like the first two, and I didn't like the first two, Cthulhu makes your Mind Flay and Seer have a chance to spawn a tendril. The tendrils are back. I missed those. That was a Xalatath thing. That was a Shadow Priest Legion artifact weapon thingy. Mind Flay and Mind Seer have a chance to spawn a Void Tendril or Void Lasher that channels at your target, generating insanity. Or we don't want that, because that seems pretty single target. Well, I guess it's Mindseer also does it. After conjuring 50 shadowy apparitions, you summon a thing from beyond. Oh, goodness. Mage Tower flashbacks. A thing from beyond that serves you for 20 seconds. Thing from beyond blasts enemies for shadow damage. That's kind of fun. It seems less consistent because 50 is kind of a lot of shadowy apparitions. However, remember Blackrock Foundry, and it's okay if you don't remember Blackrock Foundry, I'll loop you in. In Blackrock Foundry, Shadow Priest spec, basically you would get a bunch of crit, a ton of crit, and you would summon, so you would just machine gun out shadowy apparitions. The build changed so that you would lean into one, I think it was crit, might have been haste, but you would lean into one secondary and you would just make boatloads and boatloads of shadowy apparitions. And it was hilarious. Like it was just so many of them. And if you can set your spec up in that way again, so that you're just making a ton of shadowy apparitions, and you can also have, there's other shadowy apparition talents up here. There's stuff you can do with them. And then you're summoning things from beyond all the time. The thing is, that's not very predictable. You can't control when you're summoning that thing. So that's kind of like a wild card button, but it sounds funny. I don't know if it'll be good, but it sounds funny. Thing from beyond, get it away from me. You have to assume it does bonkers damage. It's just probably going to come out at the worst time. That's like the brawn of the Shadow Priest tree. It's going to be really cool, and it's going to come out at the worst time. As long as it doesn't knock anything back, I guess it's fine. Greklo, thank you very much for the brand new sub. Welcome to the Squirrel Squad. Summon just as the last trash mob dies. Exactly, yeah. That's going to be something that, unless, yeah, it'll depend on how the tuning works out. I think these talent trees are awesome. I'm really excited about this. I am going to have probably at least 3 builds, maybe 4. I'm thinking key healing for when you have to heal. Key healing for when you don't have to heal, like if your team's not taking that much damage, so like a damage spec. And then, raid healing for, raid healing for raid healing, and then raid healing for more single target. And you could possibly even set up a spec that's like Holy Priest pure damage for questing if you want to, although I'll probably still set up Shadow Priest for questing. But this seems really cool. I like the different options. I like that there's some flexibility. I like that if you have some abilities that maybe have been in your spellbook this whole time that just kind of annoyed you, and you were like, I don't want a Shadow Fiend. You don't have to have a Shadow Fiend anymore, and you can take those points that you would have taken getting one and get something else, I like that it gives you that choice, and there are absolutely going to be right and wrong choices. Do not get me wrong. Wowhead is going to tell you exactly what to do, and most of us for our regular raid night or whatever are just going to do whatever the smart people tell us to. But especially for less high stakes situations, you're making a world questing spec, you're making an alt spec, you are raiding in a guild that is medium casual, and you don't care what the smart people tell you to do. You have so many different things you can put together here, and that's the core of what makes an RPG fun, is giving you the power to kind of figure out how you want your character to work. The flip side of that means that there will be wrong answers, and there will be new players that don't know what the smart people are saying, that make bonkers builds that accomplish nothing, and they're going to have a hard time in the game. And that's normal. That's normal. If they notice that they're not doing very much, then they might start to ask questions about how they can do more, and maybe they'll end up, perusing some guides or just trying some different combinations. But giving you the power to make wrong choices makes it more worth something to make the right choices, Plus, sometimes those wrong choices might be cool. There might be like weird outlier fun specs to put together, and this is just going to be, I think, pretty fun to play with. Shadow is a disaster if you're trying to min-max. Glad it works for passive world content, though. I mean, the thing is, just because there's multiple... This is a problem that I have with the way that people look at RPG choices in a game, is people will look at a talent tree, and they'll be like, well, give me all of the ones that do damage. And as, when you're filling out a tree, of course you want to fill out a spec that does the most damage. But just because the system doesn't let you take all of the stuff that does the most damage doesn't mean that it's a mess. It just means that you have to make choices, and that the pair, as long as it's balanced in a way that the build that you put together is vaguely competitive with everybody else's and you can get the boss down at the end of the day, that's what matters. Like, we're allowed currently to wear 2 legendaries in Shadowlands, right? There are more legendaries, and is it a shame that Blizzard doesn't let us min-max and wear all of the legendaries that give us more damage? I mean, maybe to some people, but it's not set up in that way. It's set up so that you have a choice. And just because you can't like pick 5 different desserts and then eat them all doesn't mean that the desserts aren't any good. You know, just because I go to the bakery and I'm like, I want a Danish and I want pie, and I'm only hungry enough for one of them, it doesn't mean that the baker is ruining my life. It just means that sometimes you have to make choices. But I want 5 desserts. Yeah. I think that's a little bit of the problem lately, is that as a gaming consumer base, we've gotten kind of used to being able to bully the developers into giving us whatever we want. And as time goes on, it feels like sometimes we just want all of the dessert. And at the end of the day, it's arbitrary, right? We're fighting enemies that they're creating for us to defeat. And as long as you can put together something that does that, and that you feel like your choices helped you get there, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're, you know, people complaining that their spec won't do enough damage when we don't even have tuning yet. And we haven't even seen it playing. You know, if one of these options really does do terrible damage compared to one of the other talent trees, then maybe they can look into that and start balancing that. And I hope that we get alpha so they can do that. But it doesn't mean that having competing options that both give you damage is a mistake in the tree. But my 5 desserts. Yeah, I think, am I hungry? I don't know. I had a plate of nachos not at midnight. I had a plate of nachos at 1 in the morning yesterday. It was pretty good. It was a little salty. What time is it? It is 20 minutes after 10 a.m. I am happy with I'm happy with the talents. I'm happy with our choice to sit down and look through these today. I'm going to take a short break, and then when I get back, I'm going to set a character up. I don't know which one yet, but I'm going to set a character up and maybe do a little bit more alt leveling so that we can get some more 60s on board.